Spa's immense speeds reveal just how difficult of a track it can be for a number of our drivers. And while they'll remain in the same country for the first time this season, Zolder will provide much slower speeds. Indeed, one of the defining features of this course is the plethora of chicanes. That brings its own set of problems, and we'll see how the drivers deal with it as we get ready to watch round 4 of the Porsche Owners Club Series. And you'll see it all live here on the Global SimRacing Channel. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth is DJ Clark. Behind the scenes is our director, Sean Crackers Ambrose, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Zolder is perhaps most infamous for the tragic loss of Gilles Villeneuve here in 1982. But there's plenty more to consider about its history. Let's head to our track guide to learn more. Welcome to Zolder, a temporary home for the Belgian Grand Prix in the 70s and 80s. In present day, it's mainly used for GT and lower-level formula racing. The track sits in the northeast corner of the country near Hasselt, nestled right up against the Albert Canal. The two raceable layouts are essentially the same, save for the tightness of the Jackie Ick chicane. Both are just under 2.5 miles and have 10 turns. While the track had some sadly infamous moments for Formula One, it remains a popular venue. Its most notable feature is the plethora of chicanes that scatter the lap. The slowdown penalties drivers receive for cutting the course at them can tend to be race-defining. But more worrisome are the monstrously large curbs parked at the apexes that have been known to tear apart wings and suspensions. Passing tends to be difficult, with only 2 spots offering out braking zones that aren't into chicanes. The Boulderberg hairpin is the easier of the two, while Erst is a medium-speed, downhill, off-camber 90-degree turn. To say it proves troublesome to get right, even when not in a battle, is an understatement. While the lap opens up with many of those swift, wide-radius corners, the rest of the turns are almost all hard braking zones. High-powered cars with little downforce do need to be careful between the Kleine chicane and Butte, because there's a large crest that can catch you out. Winning here will require precision and patience. Belgian fans may have the more famous Spa to choose from, but you can't go wrong with the consistently good action this track puts forward. Well, DJ, 2 classes of very fantastic Porsche cars here today. What's it going to be like at this track?
Well, Joe, it's going to be interesting to say the least. Zolder is not one of the tracks you really consider when you think about great overtaking opportunities. Those chicanes you mentioned at the top and saw there in our intro video are really going to cause some problems for this multi-class field. The best way to get passing done around here is to be able to get a good run off the corner and get fully ahead going into one of those heavy braking zones. You really can't get anything done at that point up until you're about turn 5, the Kleine chicane. So that's going to be something to keep in mind here, trying to maximize that slipstream and in those moments. But the one thing that these GT cars, both the RSR GTEs and the GT4s, are going to have to their advantage around here is their ability to really take a lot of the curbs around this place. When you see a lot of the single-seaters, a lot of the open-wheel cars come through here, they've got to be worried about running over some of the curbs because it'll damage their suspension. Well, these GTs are built a lot stiffer, and so they'll be able to take more curb and carry a little bit more speed through these many twisting chicanes of Zolder.
That'll be fun to watch for sure as they try and clobber those sausage curbs at the inside. But real quick, we want to mention to you that this series is brought to you by Porsche. There is no substitute. Find out more at Porsche.com. And also by Sunset Mortgage. Don't put your money in the bank, be the bank. Check them out today at sunsetcash.net. As well as Octavio Tequila. Celebrate now. For a great tasting tequila, go to octaviotequila.com and purchase today. And finally, Century Financial Consultants, making the rest of your life the best of your life. You can check out their website at centuryretire.com. Now, taking a look at the championship, it's gotten interesting because we had different finishers up at the front at the in both classes last round. But Teddy Framheim is still in the lead by 8 points, but we haven't seen sign of him here today, so he might lose that points championship lead after this event. Michael Johnson pretty close back in third, followed by Robinson in fourth, and Travis Brown rounding out the top five, all barely separated from one another. What about the GT4 championship here, DJ?
Well, there's a little bit more disparity up at the top. Jerry Freckleton leading by 18 points over John Momeyer. Those two always seeming to be tied at the hip out here on track. Aaron Edwards only 5 points back of Momeyer, so that battle certainly heating up for second a little bit more. Adam Fulton is back in fourth with Travis Brown hot on his heels, so there's a lot of disparity across the board, but these battles for second and fourth going to be very interesting to keep an eye on.
For those who are tuning in for the first time, welcome. Here's our race details. We are on round 4 out of 24. And there are your two classes, the Porsche 718 GT4, that's the Cayman, and then the Porsche 991 RSR. It's a GTE class car. It's a 45-minute open qualifying. They have a lot of time to try and sort themselves out here for that, and I think they needed a twisty track like this with two classes on it. But it's only a 30-minute race. It's quite a sprint. It is open setup, so drivers will try and tweak those to their liking. Anything they can do in the real cars, they can do on these. And some of these drivers do race these cars, such as the Cayman, and they might have had opportunities to really familiarize themselves on what's the best way to get them set up for tracks such as this. This is Hagendick currently in second, behind our provisional pole sitter, Travis Brown, our winner for last race in the GTE class. As he is actually, the winner in the GT4 class, I believe, Travis Brown. He has switched up to this class and is still quite quick, it seems. Can he manage to win in both of our classes? John Momeyer, the series organizer, is down there in the provisional pole in the GT4s.
He is, and it's a very tight battle pretty much across the entire field here. If you look up on your screen, those GTE class cars, they from about first all the way back to seventh, they are separated by only about a half a tenth, so I think we should see a good battle here today. There goes BJ Fulton across the line. BJ about 2 seconds off of his fastest time. He'll be hoping for a little bit more. Jad Duncan now, he's going to be a little bit slower on this lap as well.
Unfortunately. Now, one thing that we talk about a lot, especially when it comes to chicanes, and I think will maybe play a part of today's race, the slowdown penalties, keeping it on the track. It's a tricky one out here. Even great drivers, professional drivers, can tend to have issues with many of the corners.
Exactly, and this is where this long 45-minute qualifying session can really come into handy for these drivers. The best way to figure out how to avoid those off-track penalties is sort of figuring out where the trigger marking is along the corner to be able to get them exactly right and push just up to that limit. That said, it is very easy to tow over, especially some of the inside curves of these chicanes, to get your right side tires a little bit too far over and pick up those slowdowns. So don't be surprised if you hear us yelling that out a couple of times tonight.
Watch Jacob Abrams. Looks like that is his new fastest lap, so that puts him up into 6. One driver I'm keeping an eye on is the 15 of Salehi. He is less than a tenth of a second behind Brown, as well as Hagendick, and even though he is in the third position, there you see him coming to the line now. That one looks a little slow as he caught some traffic there right at the end. But it is not going to take a big improvement for him to find himself on the pole.
No, it's not, and I think for Brian, one of the things that may actually help him do it is if he can just find an open area of track where he doesn't have to contend with any of those GT4s potentially slowing him down. This is a track that if you get stuck behind somebody, it'll cost you a lot. It's not like Spa where you can get a good draft down the Camel Straight. The straights here, barely going to see that draft come into effect.
This is Matthew Robinson, fourth, just behind Salehi. This lap, he must have had an off track somewhere, as that one did not count. What about Michael Johnson? Was just here a few nights ago for the 4 Drink Fridays, where they took the rallycross cars around it. I would highly recommend watching it. It was highly entertaining. But he doesn't go quicker, unfortunately. He'll stay in 9th position. Bacignone actually going to bump him down. He goes up to 9th just in front of him with a 26-1.
Good lap there from Doug. Watching Jacob Abrams there. He's able to improve his time, bump him up to 6th place there. Here comes Tyler King, one of those Cayman drivers. It looks like he's either had an off, or he may be on an out lap here. Michael Robon, the next across the line. He's on an out lap as well, I believe.
Yeah, it's a little slow there, so we'll just continue to cycle around. He's got plenty of time to set some more laps. We check on Jad Duncan once more, just behind Robon on the timing sheets currently. As he crosses, 127.1 is going to be a couple tenths short of his 26.8, which is his quickest.
And there goes Travis Brown. Travis, I think, had an off on that lap. Is a 3:51, way off of his time. Corey Lockvilla, we've seen some really good drives out of Corey as of recently. He's back in 7th. That's a couple positions down from where I'd expect him to be, so look for a better lap there. That's a problem on Palmer's car. That's not supposed to look like that.
Certainly not. And also, I saw Robinson go off track in the final chicane, so he had to abandon both that lap and the next one. I think he went into the pits just to get a fresh car anyways. Johnson, not quicker that time. Still waiting for Hagendick and Brown to improve and get themselves farther away from Brian Salehi. This is BJ Fulton. That's not going to be any quicker. So the number 15 is coming down to the line. Is this going to be enough? No.
A lot of these drivers really struggling to find their way around some lap traffic, just getting held up here a lot. That, I think, is going to be one of the biggest crucial keys of this race, is how you are able to navigate past these slower cars out on track. We saw a lot of that kind of kerfluffle hit us at the Nürburgring a couple of rounds ago. Look for that to be another story.
Matthew Hollander down into the line. It's looking good. No, it was about a tenth short of his best. I see third in the GT4s getting back out on track. Freckleton thinks he can find something out here. He's got to make up just about a tenth to get ahead of Fulton and just shy of 2 tenths ahead of Momeyer here. So he could find some places if he can get a clean one in. Bacignone, that time by, it looks like that was a warm-up lap for him. So we look at Eric and the 483, unfortunately still not quicker than his 25.4.
Michael W. Johnson, the same story there, about 2 tenths off of his best time. So a lot of the drivers really struggling to find some good pace here. Here comes Connor Bloom. He's about 2 tenths off of his best time in that pink machine. So not good there for him. BJ Fulton, he's going to be a little bit slow as well.
Watching Michael Ost in 8th right now. Number 73 set his quickest lap of the race last time by. This one not going to be a better one, though. So he takes that GTE car around for another run. This is Jeffrey Schulem down in 7th in the GT4s.
And that's going to be a slow one for Jeffrey there as well. Michael Robon, he is not able to improve either. And there comes Mark Rondeau. Rondeau looks like he's on a warm-up there, so that's not going to be his best lap. Here comes our provisional pole seater, Travis Brown, to the line. That's going to be another slow one for Travis, too.
Not able to find anything. Matthew Robinson must have had an off track that time. Brian Salehi, in the meantime, he's going to abandon the rest of his qualifying. Even though he does not improve, he'll settle for 3rd at best.
Slavic there crossing the line on a warm-up lap, so we're going to have to watch for Salehi. That's only about 3 tenths off there for Eric Hagendick. He is going to have another shot if he chooses it, but he's going to park. Michael W. Johnson not able to improve. He is going to be able to get another lap in, and yes, he's going to go for it. Connor Bloom down to the line.
Time's running out. If they want a good one, they've got to get something done. Connor, 127.8 is about a second off of his best. The California driver keeps going. Newton is also just starting his final flyer. Back to Michael Ost once again. Let's see what he's got. He'll get one more shot after this, and he's going to need it because that one didn't count.
And here comes Michael Robon. He is going to be the first of the drivers to take their final lap here. And 0.04 of a second off for Michael.
That brings us back to Mark Rondeau on the 171. He does go quicker, a 127 flat, but he doesn't gain any positions.
Travis Brown trying to improve on his session best time. Not going to do it, so his fastest will stay at a 25.410. That is still your best. Jim Slavic now currently in 17th. He starts to come down that final pit straight.
The last of our drivers in the GTE class. Can he get himself off the back row? A 27.5 will improve, but he's still half a second off of Rondeau.
And here comes Lottula to the line. He's had a bad lap. Look at that. He's running a 130 as he comes out of the final chicane. So this is not going to be a good one for Corey. He's going to stay 7th for the moment.
Bloom spins it, so he's done. And that's just in front of Newton. Now he is able to take a fast lap. They don't have rules like F1 where they have to slow down due to local yellows. And it is going to be his quickest. A 25.8 will get him up one spot into P8.
And I believe that is the last of our drivers to finish their laps, as Corey Lottula looks like the only driver out on track, just using the last 45 seconds here to try to get as much familiarity with the track that he can.
Indeed, we are locked in. Let's go through our starting order for today. Travis Brown starts it on the pole with Eric Hagendick in 2nd and Bayan Salehi starting 3rd. Top 3 incredibly tight. Matthew Robinson will be in P4 and BJ Fulton starts in 5th. Then it's Jacob Abrams, P6 for him, and Corey Lottula in 7th. Paul Newton managed 8th, followed by Michael Ost in 9th. And the top 10 rounded out by Doug Boccignoni. You've got Michael Johnson at the start of the next sheet in 11th, and Matt Hollander will start 12th today. Then it's Connor Bloom starting 13th, followed by Michael Robon in 14th and Jad Duncan in 15th. Mark Rondeau, P16 for him. And the last of our drivers in the GTEs was Jim Slavic in 17th.
Starting off in the pole of that GT4 category will be John Momeyer, followed by Adam Fulton and Jerry Freckleton behind him. Ron Palmer will be lining off 4th in class, followed by Aaron Edwards and Justin Daly. Starting 7th will be Jeffrey Shulam, and Tyler King will be 8th. Mehmet Karasay will be 9th, and the last 2 drivers in that GT4 category will be Max Stevens and Jason Hill.
All right, so as our 28 cars line up, we might not get all of them. Justin Daly seems to have left the session. Not sure if he's going to be able to get back in time. We do have a pace lap, so he could still start from the pit lane if he so desires. Of course, your pace car waiting for everybody to grid up, and then we'll get going for 30 minutes of racing. A sprint race around here, and the quickest of the GTEs at 125 compared to the 138 of John Momeyer at the front of the GT4s. You know, usually we don't expect drivers in a 30-minute multi-class race to catch traffic much, but I think at this short of a lap, they're going to get him a number of times here, DJ.
Yeah, I'm putting the over-under at about 4 or 5 laps right now before they really start to have to think about those slower GT4 drivers. And like I said, the narrow confines of this track, and very specifically as well, the walls that are right up next to the side in a lot of places on this circuit, it's going to cause a lot of problems for these GTE drivers. They're going to really have to be driving with their head around here and pick their opportunities to make those passes. Don't expect to see a lot of successful dive bombs here, as they very rarely work around Zolder.
One thing I love about what they've chosen for today is that much like what you'd see with a Porsche race of this nature, they've got it pretty early in the morning, almost like an opening club round to a bigger event. It's currently 8 a.m. virtual standard time, so it's a little bit cool on the track, as you can imagine. 74 Fahrenheit currently for our drivers. They should be able to get those tires up to temperature relatively quickly, though. And then, of course, for those of our metric viewers, there's the 23 degrees Celsius that it equates to. This gives us a good shot of some of these chicanes here as we watch them come through them on the pace lap. And as well, some of these curbs that you were talking about, DJ.
Yeah, and it's not just the sausage curbs that you can kind of see there to the inside of that track. The curbs themselves here at Zolder are very high. They are raised up off the track, and that's to really try to discourage drivers from riding over them. As I said, in these GTs, you're able to be a little bit more liberal with them, take a little bit more out of them. So watch to see that happen. See who's got the car set up to take a little bit more, a little bit less. Also, wouldn't be surprised if you see a little bit of air coming underneath these cars as these guys try to gain an advantage by maybe getting up onto those sausage curbs.
They're going to come over one of the few elevation changes there. Put over the crest down into Boulderberg. Another one of those places, one of the few places you can try and pass that isn't a chicane. And this hairpin has caught out plenty of drivers. It looks simple, but it can cause you problems. There is a good shot from overhead, watching them weave through a very slow corner that they'll have to deal with today. As Travis Brown leads them down into the X chicane, the Porsche pace car is going to be peeling off. There he goes. So side by side through here, everybody going to get a little bit checked up, and actually the second row has made contact. I think they've gotten away with it, but the green flag is out and Travis Brown is off. Good run from Matthew Robinson back and forth, takes a look at things and then backs out of it. We got a 3 wide behind him. Fulton on the outside of Lotvilla. A little bit of contact between them as they plunge down into the first corner. Somehow everybody in the GTE gets through except the spinner in the back. Let's go to the GT4s.
Everybody a lot more cool and contained in those GT4s. Little bit of off track there, though, coming through that first corner. That's going to catch people out. That is Jeffrey Shulam off into the grass, but your top 3 leading off just as they started. Momeyer, Fulton, and Freckleton. Aaron Edwards, though, up 1 spot.
A wild start there before they even got the checkered flag, and a spinner once again coming into the chicane. A few cars caught out. That looks like Robinson facing backwards, as well as Corey Lotvilla. Both of them. Oh, and they're going to be in front of our GT4s as they start to come through on top of it.
Yeah, Corey getting out of the way there, luckily for all of those GT4s, but you can see this field in the front starting to shake out. There goes Lotvilla getting the power on and getting away.
We're going to watch what happened to Lotvilla, and I wonder if it was 2 separate incidents, because I think he was behind Robinson. Let's watch from above. This is a great angle. Oh no, he did touch him. He outbraked himself, got onto the grass, and unfortunately got into the side of Robinson, and both of them went around.
Frankly, Joe, that incident a little reminiscent of Hamilton and Rosberg back in the day at Barcelona, of just outbreaking himself, trying to get onto the grass, and that sending the car spinning around. So it looks like Robinson and Slavic have come into the pits as of now.
Rondeau also spun in the final chicane. He's getting going, but he's already being passed by some of our GT4 cars. Salehi is our leader right now in the GTEs. And in the M class, John Momeyer leads the way down there. We're looking at the 15 of Salehi working through the Kleine chicane. It's a lot closer, though, between first and second here in the GT4s. And as well for second and third, here we go. Oh, no, that's Rondeau. Excuse me. That's him coming back through. That's not for position. That's Rondeau just trying to get back ahead of all the slower class cars.
He does, and I can report that wing damage you see on the back of Mark Rondeau's car, that was actually suffered on the pace lap. He got onto the grass a little bit, spun the car around, but he is able to clear the GT4s now, and that is going to leave this battle between John Momeyer, Adam Fulton, and Jerry Freckleton up in the air in terms of a fight. That is also Corey Lotvilla there right up behind him. Corey, that's a real aggressive move. You've got to be careful. That's the chicanes I talked about early in the race.
I think he's going to be able to pick his way by maybe here. Yeah, it looks like finally able to find his way past as Brian Salehi sets the fastest lap of the race. Things are incredibly tight in the middle of the GTE pack, with Paul Newton being hounded by Hollander, Baccignoni, and Robon. It looks like they've actually just spread apart as soon as I say something, but they were split by less than a car length. We're going to watch Duncan, who seems to have a very good run on Robon.
Trying to keep the power down here through this very fast open section. This is really where the track opens up. You're dealing with a lot of second and third gear corners here, not the slow chicanes that you see on the rest of the track. Falls back a little bit.
So that's going to deny him the shot down into Kleina. Brakes hard to see if he can make up any ground. Oh, but
we've got massive contact in GT4. That's the leader. That's John Momeyer on his lid.
Oh, no. So he is going to be sent way down the field. Now, they have a spare car, so he can get back in this race. This happened when an attempt from Fulton went south. There it is right there. Just got into the side of him.
And then there you see that was Jerry Freckleton, I believe, that got into the side of Momeyer and popped him up on his lid. And he is going to have to take a tow there. You can see the battle happening as it continues to go. Just a little bit of contact. That's a late diving move there from Fulton. And there goes Momeyer.
Not much place to go, unfortunately. And that means Adam Fulton is our new leader. Aaron Edwards moves himself into second. And it's Ron Palmer now in third.
It certainly changes the face of this GT4 battle, and frankly, the GT4 championship a little bit as well. But there you can see that's the number 29 of Ron Palmer. Now he is starting to try to put a little pressure here on Aaron Edwards. He is right tucked up behind that rear spoiler, trying to get something done. Not nearly good of a run out of Jochen Rindt corner as he would like. They come down into Jackie Ix. They concertina up a little bit. That's a little bit of a bad extra curve there for Edwards halfway through the corner, but the same thing happened to Palmer coming out of it.
Yeah, let's not forget that that was a boon to Freckleton, who leads the championship. He's sitting down in fourth, but now as Momeyer is well out of the way for him, and something happened to Connor Bloom, something bad, because he's now taken a tow. Trying to figure out. Now this is very odd. He didn't hit anything. This is going to happen down into the Villeneuve chicane. He's in the grass a little bit, and I wonder, yeah, okay, that sent the car spinning. And he didn't, there's nothing really there that I can see that would make him want to try and take the car into pit lane immediately. So not sure what was the impetus for giving up all that track, how he's going to be behind the 8-ball.
Yeah, I'm not sure either. Looking to see, I can't tell if Connor's still in the car or not as it sits there on the lane. So we'll have to figure that out and get back to you.
Well, that's robbed us of a number of battles. Salehi's looking relatively comfortable, but not super comfortable, and he's already hitting some of that traffic. He's got about a second-and-a-half lead, or he did have a second-and-a-half lead over Travis Brown. That traffic actually must have given away some of that. That was Mehmet in the 801 that they just went by.
Joe, look at those angles. They're coming off of the corner. Big check up. Oh, here comes Brown threading the needle.
He thought about it, but he had to get off of it himself. He's got a nose to the inside down into Boulderberg, and he can't get the launch off the corner. Salehi is going to avoid that disaster and keep the lead, but he certainly saw a moment where the 300 could have snatched that away with ease.
He certainly did. That is a moment of absolute terror. Good run off the corner there for Salehi. Brown now trying to trail behind. That's not good news for Brown. Salehi catching those GT4 cars on the straightaway. You see him start to extend that gap back out to about 7/9 of a second now.
As that's been happening, third place is getting close. Actually, fourth place, I think, very, very close between King and Edwards in the GT4s, the 211. Whoa. Is this Hagendick in a fight side by side? Oh, is that going to go either way around Jeffrey Shulam? And that is going to be Jacob Abrams who gets third place away from him. Nice move.
Great move from Abrams around the outside, using that extra momentum to just carry him up and around, and good heads-up driving from both drivers. They're splitting Shulam in between them and getting by cleanly.
Great stuff. So let's once again glance at King and Edwards. The 211 is still being hunted by the number 5 as they approach the Ix chicane. Both of them trying to be absolutely as precise as possible through here. Two different lines, though, between our drivers. Behind them, they've got Salehi, our leader, quickly coming up. Edwards sees it. He's going to stay out of the way. Is he going to get both of them? He's going to put things a little bit offline, unfortunately, for Tyler King. In fact, King is almost off track, slows up a bunch, nearly getting into the gravel.
And that's going to allow for Edwards to pull up ever so slightly, but not nearly as much as he would like to, I think. I don't know if Aaron lifted down that straightaway or if he just got a terrible exit.
Oh, no. After losing that position just a lap ago, Eric is off track. He had a little bit of help, but he spun it on his own. You're going to see him stop here out of Erst once he spins it, and poor Michael Ost is going to approach him. I'm actually shocked that Ost doesn't have more damage here.
Yeah, so Eric just took a little bit too much curve there. Oh, big hit with Ost. Ost just nowhere to go as he tried to gather that car up under him. So probably big damage to Ost. I agree with you. Don't know how that is.
Edwards and King are off track. Did they take each other off? I think they did. This happened down into the Villeneuve chicane, and yeah, Edwards, you're going to see him get into the back of King.
And that is Jacob Abrams whizzing on by them. So here we go down into Villeneuve, and sure enough, a little hit on the brakes there. I think a little bit of a tap on the wall that is going to upset that rear spoiler ever so slightly if he's not careful, but both cars able to get back under their own power.
So as they move along, this is all taking place behind the leader in that class, Adam Fulton, who continues to cruise. The 87 has about a 2-second lead over Palmer. There he is on screen now in the 71, coming through the first few corners, heading down towards Bianchi. And you can see how much more pace is around the outside. Ost goes, how much more pace those GTE cars have.
Yeah, they are just absolutely flying around here. And Joe, I can report in terms of the championship of it all, this is the battle with Schulem and Freckleton. Freckleton is this far down in the order. You maybe remember he was running up higher. He had a spin coming onto the pit straightaway.
A little bit of miscommunication, unfortunately, with Latvala. Eventually slaloms his way past both of them. Schulem trying to keep Freckleton back. That's going to be a hard ask because Freckleton's got 2 wins under his belt and clearly has speed, and he's got great speed here as they come down into the Kleine chicane. He's got the inside. He's got to get the job done, though, and he knows it. He backs out of it, knowing how difficult it is going too wide through there.
Yeah, you really can't get too wide through almost any of these chicanes here at Zolder. As I said in the top of the broadcast, you've got to be able to get a good enough slingshot out of the corner to be fully ahead to really execute the pass. If you're trying to get anything done big. Oh, there goes Schulem.
Cuts the chicane. Unfortunately, that hands it back to Freckleton with ease. He gets up to 5th. No harm, no foul, though. Schulem is going to be able to get the car going, just loses a fair bit of time in the process.
So there he goes back under his own power.
Palmer just went by Edwards, and I'm not sure why, and a whole lot of traffic. This is Rondeau and Latvala, and we're going to have another pass. That's Tyler King. Those two back together again. Remember, they were fighting not long ago.
No, they weren't. This battle continuing to shape up, so here we go. They're going to have a little bit of heat under their collar after that coming together into Gilles Villeneuve chicane. Little bit of an overcorrection there, trying to keep it together.
They had all this momentum in his favor compared to Edwards, and then now suddenly it's halted just as he catches up to him. He's going to have to fight him again. Had a problem. They're coming up to actually to a wreck of Doug Boccignone. There you see him coming back on course. He'll be able to stay out of the way, thankfully. Looks like that was a single car incident, though.
It was indeed. There you see that's Palmer getting around him. Now King trying to make the move on Edwards here.
Oh, Palmer's slow, though. Bad
Very
exit
slow.
out of Kleine. And Edwards easily by. That's going to put a buffer between himself and King, as well as give him a spot.
So that'll be a bit of a relief there to him. Yeah, he is starting to pull ahead a little bit. Edwards is. You see those multiple lines as they start to crest over the hill. It looks like Palmer still got some fight in him, though. He's not letting this go quietly.
Certainly not. And they work their way around Boulderberg. This is still tight, though. The 5 leading the train, currently up into second place. Boy, the GT4s have been pretty mistake-prone here, and it looks like it's whoever is going to be the cleanest out on track, because Fulton is still a full 14 seconds ahead of Aaron currently.
Well, a lot of times that there are circuits like this, like Zolder, a lot of street circuits are like that, where it's just about minimizing the mistakes. Zolder is one that absolutely punishes you if you make that mistake, and we are really seeing that borne out here.
Edwards starting to pull away now. Palmer having to look in his rearview mirrors. He could lose another spot to King potentially. As they come on and out of Canal towards Bianchi. Everybody looking to focus their efforts on the exit, and Palmer looks to be the best of them as he gains a ton of time on Edwards. Multiple car lengths chopped away.
Indeed he does. He has a look to the inside there going into the Klein chicane, but as we talked about, you don't want to make a move going into the chicane, so Palmer smartly backs off a little bit, but that may open him up ever so slightly to Jerry King, but they've got to be careful as they've got some GTE cars coming through at this point.
Yeah, and they're not getting blue flags for this one because Slavic is on the same lap as them, and great job of the 58, honestly. Slavic is waiting patiently to try and get through here. In the meantime, let's step away because Michael Johnson is hassling Michael Ost.
He really is, Joe. I've been keeping an eye on this battle at the corner of my eye. Johnson doing exactly what you need to do as Johnson goes right there, getting around a little bit of lap traffic, trying to make it work. Johnson's going to get slowed, forced to go around the wide side there as they head into Villeneuve.
Sends it in very deep into that corner, but wow, he is looking perfect through that chicane, and look at how much he dropped Johnson just in that set of corners alone. That gets him to about a second ahead of the number 18.
Well, that'll be some good breathing room there for Michael Ost, and what this battle has done, you can see it there. BJ Fulton now able to catch up behind in that green and black car. So this battle nowhere near done, and that is Jacob Abrams right ahead and Paul Newton coming in behind. So these guys pretty close on track.
Wow, this is what the audience loves to see, as everybody accordions together and gives us some fights. This should be fascinating if we wind up having 5 cars all fighting for what effectively will be third place, last step on the podium.
Exactly. Abrams has been doing a pretty good job there, but that gap has ebbed and flowed a lot over the course of the race thus far as we kick over just over halfway here. So about 14 minutes still to go. Abrams has just got to keep this together. The gap all the way up to Travis Brown in second is about 11 seconds up the road.
Down and into the Klein chicane. We're gonna watch this one for just a little bit longer. Up and over Butte and down into Villeneuve. Johnson trying to do his best to gain on Ost, who himself is focused forward on the 7-2-8 out of Turleman. Once again, up and over the crest. They've got less than half the race to go. Oh, we had a mistake from Palmer. Palmer's going to lose the spot, I think, to Tyler King. And just as that's happening, they've also got lap traffic. That's Salehi. That's our leader, who watched that one unfold, almost banging doors. King to the outside as they swing it through Erst. Is he going to be able to hold him off? It switches back in his favor, coming into Sturdenwacht. Still, they fight side by side. In second place now coming up. He's going to try and split it. He gets through. Whew, nicely done. And still they're side by side. Palmer almost 2 wheels into the grass. Coming through Canal. Does he have to give up the ghost? Yeah, I'd say he does. Oh, he's going to lose it. He's off to the side. He keeps it from hitting the barriers, but Ron Palmer unfortunately falls to fourth, and he might lose another spot here soon.
Yeah, he did. That was a very, very scary moment there for Ron Palmer. You just saw the way that car snapped. That comes from just putting a little bit too much into the into the side of the car. The tire spun a little bit. It was started to be in a slide, and he overcorrected, and that's what caused the car to just violently snap away on him over like that. We call that snap oversteer.
Now, the GTE car is being held up a little bit. Fulton and Johnson were trying to lap Freckleton. And Fulton, as close as he got to the back of him, was not able to pass. We're watching now Michael Ost in that black and white Porsche chasing Jacob Abrams. This is one of the best performances I think we've seen from Abrams since he switched up to the GTEs.
It really is, you know, and it may just be a result of the circuit, not to deny Jacob, who's running an incredible race right now. Zolder is really one of those tracks that you love or you hate. You know, Joe, you and I have talked a lot about those kind of tracks that you either just fall in love with because it suits your driving style or you just can't seem to master. And I'm going to guess that this track for Jacob Abrams is one of the former.
And for me, it's in the hate category. Oh, Jad Duncan is off. Did he have help, or was this on his own? Oh, he had some help. Unfortunately, it was traffic. It was Ron Palmer, of all people.
Palmer's race just going from bad to worse. So here is Jad Duncan in that GTE. He's going to be coming up behind Ron Palmer. Palmer in the middle of the track tries to go back over. I think that caused Duncan to lift off the throttle ever so slightly. And Palmer again just loses control of the car.
And let's stay on this replay because let's go to Ost now. He is off. This also, I think, may have happened with lap traffic. Yes, it does indeed. Oh, no. And that's a very fast part. Hard into the wall. Very hard into the wall.
Very, very hard. That could very well end Michael Ost's day if he is not careful.
Severe damage on the 73. Who was that he hit? Was that Edwards?
I believe it was, Joe.
Oh, no. Oh, another wall. He takes a tow after that one. Fulton and Johnson are still racing with one another. We may have lost Ost in front of them, which means they're promoted up to 4th and 5th, respectively. Let's see, there's Fulton, Adam Fulton. He's just going to stay out of the way. Let's BJ go by.
And that did compromise BJ ever so slightly. He had to take a little bit more of a narrow entry into the corner. You can see it cost him a couple of tenths up the road to Michael Johnson ahead of him, so he's going to have to try to claw that back now.
Oh, but Johnson starts to slide. He clipped the grass, and he's going to get hit. BJ with nowhere to go. Both of them able to keep going amazingly. Gonna watch this one more time from BJ's perspective.
BJ was just an absolute passenger here. You see him ride over those curbs trying to get out of the way as much as possible, but he had absolutely nowhere to go. And what that has done here, Michael W. Johnson able to stay up in 4th, but Paul Newman, Matt Hollander, and Michael Roban able to get up ahead of BJ Fulton. You see Fulton on your screen trying to chase down Roban in that blue car.
Paul Newman's in this race?
Newton, excuse me. Paging Dr. Freud.
Yeah, maybe hungry for some salad. Meanwhile, as we take a look at the lead between Salehi and Brown, it's down to less than a second. My goodness. Travis Brown's trying to make sure if Salehi has to work hard for this one. If the 15 slips up at all, then I'm pretty sure Travis Brown is going to be through and take another win.
I think he very well could be right. And Joe, I can just report that BJ Fulton is diving into the pits. The damage on that car clearly upsetting him.
Oh boy. Yeah, Fulton is in. Ost has since gone in and taken his spare car. And remember, they do have a fresh car waiting for them if they get too much damage. But again, there's no expected pit stops in this race, so drivers will be giving up a lot of time on track to do so. Salehi's keeping this at about that second distance. It's up to 1.2 actually right now as they break for Boulderberg. So we gained a couple tenths over the course of this lap. So there's a bit of a cat and mouse game happening between the 15 and the 300.
Exactly, Joe. And I think for Brian Salehi, it looks like he has just just a little bit more out-and-out pace over Travis Brown, but the traffic is just absolutely catching him out. Travis has the ability to be back in the catbird seat, see where Bayon's going to be taking the move, and make his move based off of that. Bayon just has to do it very quickly based off of what he sees in front of him, and that's putting him at a little bit of a disadvantage.
Oof, man, he is using every inch of track, though. You saw how close he got to those curbs on the outside, which are very tall. But just picture perfect today, Bayon Salehi, as he is looking for his first win of the season here. Remember, he's second in the points, chasing down Teddy Framheim, who is not here today. This win will give him max points and easily put him up to the top spot in the championship. Now Newton still chasing on Johnson, is gaining. I wonder if Michael is dealing with a wounded car.
Yeah, I think he is. If you look at that right rear of Johnson, you can see the tail light is a little bit off. It's going to be, yeah, that's a little bit, that is a little bit of damage there. That could be affecting the rear aerodynamics on it.
Yeah, we can see it from this camera angle right here. Might not look like a lot. These GTE cars do need the diffusers for a lot of downforce. They come down into Boulderberg, and Paul Newton is doing his best to see if he can get into fourth. He's within the top 5. Another one where this is going to be a very good result for Paul, as his average finish so far this season is 8th.
Yeah, he's just got to focus ahead of him. Gets a good run there off of that final corner. He's going to poke his nose to the inside. Michael's just going to stick the car in the middle of the track. Ooh, good crossover move there for Paul. He goes to the outside trying to carry momentum. Michael's got the speed here. Can Paul have anything for him? He's got more momentum, but he's got to check up going into that second corner.
Also, oh, no, excuse me. I was like, Ost is gaining on them. No, Ost is a lap down, excuse me. So that's not for position. I remember that he was involved in that fight earlier, and I was absolutely shocked that he would be able to regain. Granted, he is faster, but he's taken that fresh car and is back out on track. But the best he can hope for at this point is 14th where he sits, and maybe gaining a few as Paul Newton launches off of the Kleine chicane and actually gets a nose in. Does he dare try this down into Villeneuve? He thinks about it. Johnson a little bit offline, and he's going to successfully defend. Even still, this is getting very nerve-wracking for the 18.
It is, but that was some great car control for Paul Newton. Really, really good job getting it slow, airing Michael W. Johnson, just getting him into a position where he has got to be worried about that dive bomb at any point.
Really good on the binders. Paul Newton trying to make sure that Michael Johnson is going to have to be picture perfect today, coming off the X chicane. Not close enough at all here coming into Erst. And great job by Michael Ost here, seeing it's the end of the race, and this is a fight for a high up position. He gained on them quickly, and now he's just waiting patiently.
He is. You saw Newton there jinking out to the outside, trying to just see if he can get a little bit of anything on Johnson. You know, this is the area of the track where I would think that if that diffuser was heavily damaged for Michael W. Johnson, it would most hurt him. That's the high speed, high downforce section. And you can see there, Newton starting to close ever so slightly, but not really enough to make a poke into the Kleine chicane.
He's going to have to wait behind, at least for a little bit longer, as BJ Fulton is into pit lane, and I'm not sure why. This is his first visit. His car must have been just too damaged to continue on. This next time by for these two, it is going to be 2 laps to go. We had a bit of a fight between Hollander and Robon. They actually made contact. We can take a quick glance at this. Yeah, right here into the Villeneuve chicane. Just gives them a big shove. Great job to both of them. Neither actually even went off course, but there was definite contact.
And they had been running very close together for a while, but there you can see Michael Robon really, really out on his own.
As we come back to Michael Johnson, the gap has grown since we last looked. It's up to half a second between the pair of them. And again, that was 2 laps to go this time by as they start this penultimate circuit. There's still time for Newton to be able to attack, especially if he gets a mistake out of Johnson. And let's not forget about that lap traffic. They're coming up to the 8:01 car pretty quickly.
And they'll catch him very quickly. Now, Michael Johnson's going to hope that they get him going up through the sweeping turn 6 and not into a chicane where he is going to get slowed down. But I'm not sure if that's going to work out the way he wants it to. But I believe that was Karasi that pulled off to the side. No,
that was Stevens.
No, Stevens. Excuse me.
Yep. Karasi, though, is really slow into the chicane. Oh, this is not good. Going off course is Newton. Newton overshoots it. That will end it. It did, oh boy, Karasi did slow up Johnson in the process, and it wasn't as drastic as I would have expected for Newton. Even still, he's going to have to hope for something incredibly dramatic, almost as dramatic as what we just saw for him to have a chance at the win. White flag just waved for Brian Salehi and for Adam Fulton, who just went across the line for the GT4 class.
And there you go. Adam is still about, he has got a good run here, about 4.5 seconds ahead of Tyler King around him.
Yeah, he's been managing this one beautifully. And let's go look at Jad Duncan and Baccignoni. Jad Duncan's been bleeding positions, and, well, there's another one. Unfortunately, slipping through the bandages. And Baccignoni moves himself into 11th with a smooth move into Boulderberg.
It was a heads-up play there for Doug Baccignoni, as now he is going to take the white flag here. As you said, he will be in 11th place. Looks like Jerry Freckleton's had another issue, though. He is spun. I don't think it's going to cost him a position.
Mamet is also slowing the track. Not sure what's going on there, but we're going to focus on the leader here for these final few corners. Brian Salehi didn't let Travis Brown shake him. The 15 car only has to successfully get through Ix, which he does, and it is his first win of the season here in Belgium.
Great weathering drive from Brian Salehi, withstanding that pressure very well. Here comes Adam Fulton powering down to the line right now. He has only got 2 more corners to go, and he will take the win in GT4.
A little bit closer with Tyler King behind him, but still beautifully done for the 87. Great win for Adam Fulton. Now, did Johnson get caught? He did. Johnson was caught, and Newton wound up less than a second behind him at the line. There must have been incredible traffic there that they were trying to dodge through. Let's take another look to see what caused him to suddenly give away such a lead.
It looks like that Paul Newton was just really able to catch up to him over the course of those 2 laps that we saw. And there you see up ahead, those are the likes of King and Freckleton up the road. And then you can see the checkup right there that they're going to have to go through. There it is. And there you see, this is Johnson trying to figure out where to go. Newton just pushing as hard as he can, trying to find something. Really good drive here today from Paul Newton.
And Newton almost ran into cars multiple times on that last dash to the line. But that brings us to a quick break here on the Global Sim Racing Channel. We'll come back with a post-race show, which includes our unofficial results as well as driver interviews. So don't go away. Welcome back to Zolder. Round 4 here in the Porsche Owners Club Series was a good one today. Bayan Salehi under a pressure cooker and still taking the victory over Travis Brown, who started on the pole but couldn't hold on to things. He wound up in second. Jacob Abrams was P3 today, and how about this run for Michael Johnson? From 11th to 4th, in spite of a few problems along the way, including having to deal with Paul Newton behind him, who wound up in 5th. Matthew Hollander took P6 with Michael Robon in 7th, and Eric Hagendick, just way down the order from 2nd into 8th. Corey Lotvilla had contact with him early in the race. He finished 9th, and Mark Rondeau was 10th. Doug Boccignoni finished P11. Jad Duncan was moving backwards for much of the race and wound up 12th, still ahead of where he started, thankfully. He was the last one on the lead lap, with BJ Fulton finishing 13th and Michael Ost 14th. Then it's Jim Slavic, the last of our drivers in the GTE class, managing to finish.
Adam Fulton was able to take the win in that GT4 class, followed by Tyler King and Jerry Freckleton to round out your podium. John Momeyer, able to recover from getting stuck on his lid early on, was able to come back and finish 4th in class, followed by Aaron Edwards. Jeffrey Shulam was 6th, followed by Mehmet Karasi and Max Stevens, and Ron Palmer rounding out in 9th in that class. Connor Bloom and Matthew Robinson were forced to DNF in the race, as was Justin Daly and Jason Hill.
That's going to bring us to our winner here today in the pro class, Bayan Salehi. Bayan, they always say the old adage, you can't win the race in the first corner, but I have to ask, do you feel like you won that race with that move in the first corner?
Oh man, that was a really tricky one. I don't really know what happened at the start. It was a little bit sloppy to begin with, but the green just dropped at the perfect time, and I had the whole shot, and yeah, it was history from there.
You still had to keep Travis behind you. He was keeping you honest for much of the race. Did it make you nervous at all during the course of this one?
Absolutely. He's super fast, and I think it just really came down to traffic and kind of certain low percentage decisions that had to be made on both sides, and I think he just got a little bit of the short end of the stick, but on an open track, we'd be duking it out less than a second apart that whole race.
This is all, of course, looking at the small picture. From my calculations, with that finish, with that win, you are now a championship leader. How do you feel about that?
Oh, well, it feels nice. We don't have some aliens driving with us, so I guess first in the championship is a little bit more practicable, but I mean, we still have a super long season. I think Zolder, I just got a little bit lucky. I used the same exact setup from Spa and just was able to focus on the track and just to get, the quickest consistent pace.
You got to take those times when they come to you, I guess. Again, congratulations, and hope to see you in 2 weeks' time.
Thank you, guys.
That was our winner, Bayan Salehi, in the pro class. In the AM class, Jerry Freckleton, who finished 3rd, is talking to DJ Clark.
Jerry, I got to tell you, that race looked like a handful across the board. How was it behind the wheel?
Oh my God, it was like being on the 405 at 6 o'clock in the evening. It was so crowded. Oh my goodness. And God, so many mistakes on my part tonight. Oh.
Jerry, I have to thank you. As a native of Los Angeles, I just laughed way too hard at that off mic. So yeah, talk to me about having to deal with obviously the traffic and then coming back through the field like that. I mean, the mistakes you made, but you were able to just absolutely power your way back to a podium. It was a great drive.
Oh, well, I really appreciate it. I made a lot of mistakes and stuff, but it was really, really difficult with the RSR guys because they're so much bigger and faster and heavier. So, I mean, they can really push their weight around to us little GT4s, So it was like you got to be looking left and right. And I got in the way of a couple guys. And right towards the end, I spun off and hit the wall. And I couldn't. My steering wheel was so turned, I didn't know which was reverse, which one was go forward. And I backed up on the track, and Mike almost hit me. Oh my goodness. it was quite a fun time, we'll say.
It certainly looked like it. Well, in 2 weeks' time, we go from the twisting, relatively flat confines of Zolder to the twisty, very hilly confines of Imola. How do you think that's going to be?
Well, it ought to be a lot of fun for me. I haven't been on that track yet. So all of this is a brand new learning experience for me. I started in August with this stuff. And you know what? It reminds me of the olden days. I used to manufacture racing go-karts, and I traveled all over the United States racing enduro karts at big international tracks. And you know what? This is just bringing back so many memories that it's unbelievable.
I love that, Jerry. I absolutely love it. Well, congratulations again on a well-deserved third place and a great fight back through the field.
Well, I appreciate it, and we want to thank you guys for all the support and doing what you guys are doing, and POC for all they're doing, and especially Airwolf 3D for helping me out with this stuff, and my girlfriend, Denise Lanigan. You guys, will talk to you next time, we hope.
All right, that was your third place finisher, Jerry Freckleton. And now we are going to stay in class. We are going to go to Travis Brown, who was the second place finisher in GTE.
Absolutely. Travis seemed to really be trying to hustle at certain points on that race. Thoughts on that start? Because even Bayern said that it seemed a bit weird, and you've managed to give away the lead, unfortunately, in the first turn.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I was just trying to keep pace and let everybody regroup after the chicane before starting. And I saw Bayern and Eric made contact. And I'll admit, I was kind of a spectator looking like, what happened back there? And then, then the green flag came out and I was on the back foot. So I don't know how you managed to lose the advantage when you're on pole like I did, but I managed. So yeah, Bayern, kudos to him, though. He was definitely faster. And every time I tried to make a push, he was right there and countered it. So it was good racing all around.
Looked like you definitely had your wits about you, though. We saw a pretty scary moment where you went 3 wide with King and Palmer. I mean, what made you decide to try and make that move?
Was that the one through turn 2 where I split
3
him?
wide? Yeah.
When Bayern and I were 3 wide with the GT4 at the end of the track going into the hairpin. But no, I mean, honestly, it was just I was trying to catch up to Bayern. I didn't really have an answer for him. And GT4 traffic was so key. I just was trying to minimize how much time I lost. So they left me plenty of room. And I was like, do I go for it? Okay, let's do it. So it worked out all right.
Well, you've still got 1 win, and you're going to make some valuable points here today. Heading off to Imola, do you think you can get the top step of the podium there?
I hope so. I like Imola a lot. This was my first ever race at Zolder. I did 1 practice race during the week on the GT4 cars here in the iRacing season, but it's a fun track, Zolder. But man, it's definitely kind of deceptive. It's a little tricky, those chicanes. The first chicane, Bayern had 2 tenths on me pretty much at will. So yeah, kudos to him.
Yeah, absolutely. That's no easy task. Well, congratulations still on the podium, and hopefully we'll get to talk to you over in Italy.
Sounds good. Thanks, guys.
It's Travis Brown, second in the pro class. And up next in the AM class, our winner was Adam Fulton, and DJ's caught up with him.
Well, Adam, it looked like it was going to get a little dicey for you at the start of the race, but John Momeyer ended up on his lid, and you were able to pretty much lead it on out from there. A little bit of a challenge behind, but anything but a not exciting race.
Yeah, I think that contact early on was unfortunate. John's one of the most respectful racers that I've raced against in this club, so I was really upset with the contact there. I think that was probably more on me than anything, and had a lot of time to think about it because I had a pretty big lead. So I kind of just cruised for the rest of the race. I don't want to say it was easy after that, but once you take out the second or the first place guy and the third place guy in one move, you can kind of set some 142s for the rest of the race and not worry too much about fourth.
Well, to that point, I mean, we saw a lot of incidents flying around there, both in the GT4s and the GTEs today. talk to me about, as a driver, when you're coming through there and you see somebody getting a little squirrely, do you sort of, white knuckle a little bit on the wheel, or is it just a keep calm and carry on kind of situation?
Yeah, I think when you white knuckle, that's when you end up making a mistake. I definitely had that instance a few times in the practice races where you focus on them and fixate. But I think if you just keep calm, and especially with the lead I had built up, I could just kind of let the RSRs by with quite a bit of room, not worry too much. Some of them, obviously, I've raced with more, and I know who's more aggressive, and I just kind of try to give them a wide berth, especially on this track.
Well, do you anticipate having to do the same kind of things? We head to Imola in 2 weeks, very tight confines like this, a lot of little quick chicanes like that, obviously a little bit more elevation change, but do you think it's going to be similar to this, or do you think it's going to be a little different?
I think it'll probably be even harder because of the longer lap. I think it's probably almost a minute longer. I'm not super familiar with it, but I think I remember it being quite a bit longer. So we're going to have people really frustrated, I think, during qualifying, with their laps getting ruined, and not be able to set another one quickly. So it's definitely going to be difficult. And the higher the speed of the corners, I think the bigger the differential in the cars, because the RSRs have so much downforce.
Gotcha. Well, we'll be watching it for sure, and hopefully it'll put on a good show like we saw today, and hopefully it'll get you a very similar performance.
Yeah, thanks, guys. I just like to thank my beautiful fiance, the POC, and you guys, of course. This has been a lot of fun, and I'm happy to get my first win, even if it wasn't as clean as I wanted it to be.
That was Adam Fulton, your winner in the GT4 category. And now Joe Peak, I believe, has caught up with Jacob Abrams, your third place finisher in the GTEs.
Indeed, and it feels like it's been a while, Jacob, but after such dominance down in the GT4s, you haven't really seen success until now. Congratulations on a podium.
Guys, and it's kind of taken me a while to get used to this car. It's a little bit different than GT4.
Yeah, we just hearing how much more downforce those things produce. Well, do you consider this now kind of the breakthrough where you feel like you finally got a handle on things?
Yeah, I think I've got a decent handle on the car now, and I finally have a setup that I built for it. Got a little bit of practice on this track and started to tune the car to my driving style. So I think I'm in the right place to start fighting for wins and podiums again. Just working on it bit by bit.
That's the way you got to do it, I suppose. Going from sixth up to third, you did have a little bit of help with some drivers in front, obviously running into problems. What was your secret to staying out of the trouble here today? Because certainly a number of them fell victim to it.
I was just kind of treating it like an endurance race. I knew that there was going to be, accidents and incidents and offs and all sorts of stuff here with all these evil curbs, and I knew that if I could keep the car just on the tarmac and off the curbs and away from other cars, I would have a pretty good chance at coming home with a podium. Just needed to keep my nose clean, and did a pretty good job doing that. So I think the practice for this week was just driving on the 405 and avoiding Priuses, and that's what it felt like.
Well, yeah, I'd say you did a fantastic job. Any chance to spray the champagne is success to me. But congratulations on a podium, and hopefully we'll get to talk to you when we head to Italy.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
It's Jacob Abrams, third in the pro class. And then in the AM category, second place went to Tyler King. DJ is going to talk to him about what was an eventful race.
Tyler, it seems like you were seesawing up and down that field the entire time. Just talk me through that, man. I mean, how did you keep your emotions in check and end up on the podium like that?
Well, I came into the race with zero expectations. I've only run here 2 times, this being the second. I had a really bad qualifying session. I couldn't get a clean lap, kept missing my marks. So I wanted to start in the back and stay clean and stay out of the trouble. And there's a lot of trouble out there today.
There certainly was. I mean, for staying out of trouble, it looked like you were not afraid to throw some good moves here and there. Was it just a matter of sort of confidence building over the course of the race, or was it a situation where you were like, I just got to do this if I'm going to get forward?
Confidence definitely grew over the race. It was a tough one. I didn't want to put people in bad spots because I didn't know if I could hold it. So I just took it easy, let people go, waited for them to make their mistakes and capitalize on it.
Gotcha. Well, we continue the sort of the European leg of the season 2 weeks out in Imola. How do you feel about that track? And are you liking the fact that we're on these more of European-centric circuits for the time being, or would you prefer to head back to some of the more stateside ones?
Well, I definitely prefer to go to the stateside ones because I own them and I've raced them in the last 15, 18 years. I haven't raced at Imola since, Formula One in 2002. So it's been a minute. So I'll have to buy the track, run some practice laps, and hopefully get out there and be competitive.
Well, we will certainly be watching for you. Tyler, congratulations on a great fight up through the field, and I would say a well-deserved second place tonight.
Thanks, guys. Really appreciate it. Thank you for the wonderful broadcast you guys put on, the entire POC, Matt, John. Thank you guys for putting on such a great event. Thanks, Paul Newton, for getting me into the league, and it's been a fun racing with you guys.
That was Tyler King, second place in the GT4s tonight. And that's going to wrap up our interviews. So before we go, we're going to give a big thank you to our sponsors, starting with Porsche. There is no substitute. Find out more at Porsche.com. And, of course, Sunset Mortgage. Don't put your money in the bank. Be the bank. Check them out today at sunsetcash.net. And Octavio Tequila. Celebrate now. For a great tasting tequila, go to OctavioTequila.com and purchase today. Finally, there's Century Financial Consultants, making the rest of your life the best of your life. You can check out their website at centuryretire.com. Thanks goes to the companies that provide the software and the hardware for our broadcast listed here on your screen. And additional thanks to June Lalonde, who provides our wonderful music. Her Bandcamp is at the bottom if you want to check out more of her work. Thanks to the team today, Sean, DJ, and Dougie. If you'd like to find out more about GSRC, including upcoming races, you can find it at globalsimracingchannel.com. Also, check out our social media, which includes Twitter at GSR Channel, Facebook at Global Sim Racing Channel, and Instagram at GSRC_Graham. If you'd like to support us, we've got a merchandise store at gsrc.storenvy.com. We keep a link in the description below, so it's nice and easy to find. While you're down there, though, make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel so you don't miss a moment here on GSRC. As we mentioned, Imola is up next. That'll be Monday, March 8th at 11 p.m. Eastern, but we have upcoming races for other series listed on the screen. Check those out and mark them down on your calendar. Until next time, though, race clean, race hard. We'll see you on the track.